Hello listeners, welcome to episode 81. I just wanted a quick word with you before we start our show to tell you that this week's episode is dedicated to our Explorer of the Week, and this week it is Jonathan Perner. Now, Jonathan is our Explorer of the Week because he signed up for Patreon for one of the tiers, tier 2 or above, gets you to be Explorer of the Week periodically, and this week it is Jonathan. Now, it is thanks to people like Jonathan that we are able to keep creating what we absolutely love here, so thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. You're an absolute star in our book. Now, if you want to be Explorer of the Week as well, all you need to do is go to patreon.com/Aliens Explored and sign up for tier 2 or above on our Patreon, and we will love you forever. And yes, you will get to be Explorer of the Week at tier 2 and above. There's loads more stuff in there as well at different tiers. There are t-shirts, you can chat with us, there's all sorts of things going on at the various tiers, so have a good look at that and pick one that suits you. Anyway, let's get on with today's show. Thanks to Explorer of the Week, Jonathan Perner. Aliens Explored is a podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a sceptical perspective, whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it?
Sometimes all you want to do is just put your feet up and enjoy a good television show. And UFO documentaries can be informative, entertaining, or in an ideal world, both. Join myself and Neil here on Aliens Explored as we review the Netflix series Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified.
Hello listeners, and welcome to Aliens Explored, your weekly look at the mysterious skies and mysterious underseas, the mysterious outer limits of space and the imagination. I'm one of your presenters, Neil Kelly.
And I'm your other presenter, host, normally. We're normally hosts. Stu Jackson. We're presenters, yes.
We're presenters, we're hosts. Is there a difference? Are we splitting hairs?
I don't know.
I think we'll have to take this one offline, shall we?
No. It's cool. It's cool. It's an interesting. Are we presenters or are we hosts? Well, we're not. We're not presenting something else.
No.
I
think we're going down a rabbit hole here.
We are. Anyway.
Perhaps our listeners have an opinion on it. Anyway, if you have a sufficiently strong opinion, then we will, of course, bend to your will.
Absolutely. We're explorers into the unknown.
Yes, and speaking of explorers, we've had a few get in contact with us. Ty has been in touch.
Yeah, always nice to hear from you, Ty. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for getting in touch. Well, thank you to everyone who gets in touch. We've had quite a few emails lately, haven't we?
We have.
Jonathan
Jonathan's
Dawn.
Been in touch with some suggestions for things he'd like to talk about or hear us talk about. He's a long time fan, saying hello from Texas. So welcome, Jonathan. Whenever you get to listen to this, welcome. And yes, we had an email from Dawn saying nice work, chaps, and asking about my military expertise. Such as
she was quite impressed with basically the The information, I'm choosing my words very carefully now. The information that you get, I don't want to offend you, but yeah, the information that you come out with, because no, it really is really quite interesting. The stuff, the historical military insight that you often bring.
Yeah, and it's everything is sort of. Pretty much everything we talk about is post World War II, isn't it? And I've been alive for most of that time. Yes, but yeah, and pretty much everything we cover does have a military dimension to it because it involves airspace being encroached upon by advanced craft with seemingly with impunity, and of course it's our defence forces or the American Defence Forces that are the first to know about it.
And it is, of course, the military-industrial complex that has the downed spacecrafts, that are reverse engineering, that are holding the bodies of these alien beings and interrogating them and what have you. So, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, not just interrogating them, but sending out men in black suits to interrogate anyone who claims to have seen something.
Absolutely. And yes, and controlling our thoughts with 5G. No, I'm going to stop.
Yeah,
I only go so far down the rabbit
put your tinfoil cap back on.
But we've been looking at a few different UFO things. But for this episode, we've been watching telly. That's television. For our American
TV,
TV.
Television, we shorten it to telly. Americans tend to shorten it to the initials, so they'll say TV. Like we'll say a video, they would say a VCR. If any of our listeners are young enough to have used one of those things,
video cassette recorder.
A VCR, we just say a video.
Yes.
So
indeed, or a tape.
A tape, yeah. But we've actually we're in the 21st century now, so we've been watching a streaming series on Netflix.
We have. We've not been chilling while watching it, but we have been Netflixing.
We have been Netflixing critically, and taking notes.
Rather critically in my case, but we'll come on to that, I'm sure. But yes, this is the series on Netflix, Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified.
Yes.
Came out here in the UK a few weeks ago as we're recording it. It's actually really... So I can't believe you and I haven't mentioned this yet, Neil, but it's a really auspicious day for us as we are recording this.
This date, the 25th of February.
Yes.
2022.
Our Patreon has just launched this afternoon, so we're all excited and hyped up on that. But that's not what we're talking about right now.
It's always worth a mention, so it's there, isn't it? And where can our listeners find the link?
I believe it is patreon.com/aliens explored.
There you go, listeners.
There'll be a link in the description anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, this TV series then, Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified.
Yes.
There's 6 episodes in this series 1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they're planning another series, but they always call it series 1. I'm going to hold up my hands here. I have only watched the first 3 episodes so far.
I've watched, I think, 4. I watched 4 episodes.
Okay, so you're a bit further through it.
A little bit further along. I've watched
I'm going to hazard a guess that we may not be of too disparate opinions on this particular one. Let's have a talk about the title of the show before we get into any of the content, though.
Well, yes, so that should give you a clue as to where they're coming from. Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified. This isn't just a general program about UFOs and other related phenomena. It is actually about government secret projects pertaining to those UFOs. All our favourite. I mean, it covers much of the ground that we've covered on our podcast on Aliens Explored, and many of our favourite people have popped up, haven't they? Like Nick Pope and Doctor
he always
Professor
pops up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he seems to be a central figure in this. He wasn't in the last one I watched, which was about UFO encounters in other countries. But whenever it's been to do with the US, yeah, he's right there, front and center.
I mean, he lives in the US. He's deep in one of the red states, I believe.
Right.
In more ways than one.
Mm.
But I'm not a fan. I think anyone who listens, do you know what? I've been ranting with him on Twitter recently as well.
On this subject or on other subjects that he has strong opinions about?
Oh, look, isn't it brilliant that they're killing all the disabled people through COVID? I mean, that's not what he said, to be clear. That's
right, yeah. If Nick Pope, if you're listening,
that's my bias.
We know that's not what you said.
That is not what you said, but that's my biased take on it. There. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Yes, Nick Pope does appear in it, but the whole title itself, the whole feel of it, top secret UFO project. Right, projects for a start. It's not projects. That implies that it is revealing top secret information. Well, no. I mean,
well, the declassified suggests that it more than suggests. It actually says declassified. So here we are. We've got top secret information that's been declassified. So now we can tell you. Well, yeah. Sorry to disappoint you, listeners. You won't hear of many top secrets. Declassified. Just to be clear, putting on my military hat again, what top secret means in NATO anyway. Top secret information is information the undisclosed. Sorry, I'll start again. Top secret is information the unauthorized disclosure of which would cause exceptionally grave damage to the interests of the nation.
That's easy for you to say.
It's easy for me to say, and of course, it's all very subjective because what do you mean by exceptionally grave damage, and what are the interests of the nation? Are the interests of the nation necessarily your interests? As I learned, serving in the military, embarrassing the Prime Minister counts as causing exceptionally grave damage to the interests of the nation.
I count it as sport.
It's sport, yeah, but yeah, it's subjective. Upsetting something which upsets the Queen, or something which makes the I imagine in the US something that makes the US president look ridiculous or undermines him if it should come out.
Upsetting the Queen. Sorry, yeah. I'm just going to backtrack on this slightly. I mean, what does it take to upset the Queen? Because she just paid 12 million quid to get her son to buy off his victim. Yeah. So what does it take to upset the Queen? I'll run it. Oh.
Well, she's obviously upset about her platinum jubilee having these sexual offence allegations hanging over it. So she wanted to put an end to it. Of course, it doesn't put an end to it because she's paid 12 million quid to Victoria Gifford. So of course now people are saying, well, wait a minute, whose money is that anyway? Mm-hmm. Is that our money? When you say the Queen's money, where does she? Oh, she gets it from us. And also that could be paying off a victim rather than face them in court. Could be taken as admission of guilt. And often is. Yeah.
I mean, legally, no, it obviously doesn't, but absolutely in the armchair court
of public opinion, the court of public opinion.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely it does. Anyway, but we're already getting off topic.
We are well off topic. So
yes, no, that's a good call on the whole. What does top secret actually mean? But the title itself is a meaningless bigging up of it's top secret stuff. It's been declassified and we're bringing it out, and that doesn't reflect the content at all. I don't think.
No, I mean, it covers various topics like Project Aurora, Project Blue Book. If it will tell you what they are and who was involved in it, but there's nothing that wasn't already in the public domain in that. And what I found watching 3 or 4 of these programs, they all come at the topic from the same angle, which is that the US government, or some governments around the world, but particularly the US government, has made contact with extraterrestrials. It's primarily the military side of the government. They have access to UFO technology. They're reverse engineering it. They're creating. They're creating weapons or improving weapon systems with reverse engineered alien technology. Every program has been from that angle. That the government knows all about it. They've made contact,
Yes.
and that's what they're doing behind your back.
Yeah, and do you know what I mean? This might surprise you a little bit. It might surprise some of our listeners, but they really got my hackles up because they talk about these historical events like Roswell and the spacecraft from Roswell being taken away and being reverse engineered. They talk about these things as fact. Now, I do the same on this show. But here's the thing. I know I've got you, Neil, grounding me and grounding the show, grounding the perspective being presented by the show. And, and sort of challenging me. If this was just me on my own doing a podcast, I wouldn't be stating these things as facts the way, so you being here gives me that freedom. And, in the same way you state something is, absolutely not the case. Well, I'm here to challenge that. And without that, that sort of baffle, that resistance, you get things like this top secret UFO projects declassified, and it's appalling. They are saying, and this definitely happened. It's like, well, we don't know that. I don't know that, and I'm like, I'm true believer right here, and I don't know that, and it really got my hackles up. They were stating this as fact. They're not impartial.
No, and there are no counterbalancing voices. There's no one saying, well, wait a minute, no, that can't be right, because they're all speaking with one voice.
Yeah, they're not even saying some people consider that, it might not have happened. They're not even saying that. They're just stating it as fact. And because this show presents as a documentary, as a factual documentary, it doesn't present as entertainment. It doesn't present as a discussion or a debate. It presents as a factual documentary. I mean, the vast majority of people are going to see it for what it is, but, there is, I think, a small enough minority in the public that are going to look at it and say, well, they've said it's fact on this documentary, so it must be.
I'm sure there are people who watch in Britain Channel 5 documentaries and say, gee whiz, that must be true because I saw it on TV. There are lots of American channels that will have these, they call them documentaries, but they're very, very lightweight. They're interspersed with loads and loads of commercials. I seem to remember watching documentaries in the US, and at the end of every commercial break, it'll be previously we saw, and it'll tell you what you previously saw. And then at the end of it, it'll be coming up next. And then sandwiched in between that, there'll be a minute or two of perhaps new material, and then boom, cut to commercial break, because they have a lot of commercial breaks on some channels in the US, far more than our broadcasts are allowed to have. And I'm guessing it's TV that's not really meant to be watched when you've got that level of commercials on it. The TV's just on in the room like the radio. You don't sit in front of it and watch it. You spend 5 hours watching actually an hour's worth of content.
But there will be those who do actually watch it and absorb it, and that's where journalistic integrity, if you're presenting a documentary, is absolutely vital. So they got my hackles up on that. They also got my hackles, and it's in the same tone, it's in the same vein. They would show actual historical footage. They'd splice in CGI created UFO footage that they've made. But they've made it in such a way that it looks like it's from the original thing. And yeah, there were a few times they spliced in, like, it'd be like a black and white picture of a UFO in amongst other black and white footage from the time.
With a wounded alien crawling away from the wreckage.
Exactly. Exactly. And that one crops up quite a lot in there. And it again, if you've not got a critic, and now you and I, Neil, I mean, we're both actors. We've worked in the industry a long time. We can spot CGI and things like that. I won't say we're trained, but we've got a keen eye for it.
It doesn't take much spotting, and that's one of my bugbears as an actor. We're both actors. To see a show like this, where when it's recreating scenes, just brief scenes, that instead of using people, actors, maybe just film extras. Just film extras, movies couldn't be made without film extras. They're an important part of even though they're way down the food chain and in the sort of hierarchical snobbery of
the
world of film.
Hole, Neil. Don't dig yourself back into one.
But extras are important and they play a vital role. And so what they use instead are these sort of computer generated cartoons that look like, is it right to call them avatars?
Yes.
It looks like a sort of 1990s computer game. It's they look really weird.
There's a game I actually play every Friday night with a group of friends called Phasmophobia. It's a ghost hunting game. It's a lot of fun. We're not sponsored by Phasmophobia, but I play it anyway. It's great. They actually look an awful lot like the characters from that you're controlling and walking around with. It wouldn't surprise me if it's the same people that created them. It's that similar. But yeah, there's those, and they're obviously CGI. But like I said, it's the alien crawling along, injured, leaving the spacecraft. It looks, to an untrained eye, that's a different level again of CGI. And that in of itself, that's quite sort of manipulative in a way, is to show one bit of CGI that is very, very obviously CGI, and then another bit that fits in with other historical film footage that doesn't look like CGI necessarily, or certainly isn't anywhere near the same level of CGI. That never struck me before. No, I'm getting even worse about this show now.
I mean, it didn't strike me that was a blatant attempt to deceive. That no, here's some real footage of an alien crawling away from his wrecked spacecraft. I just thought the show just looks cheaply made. They're low production values.
At no point do they say, when they're showing these images of UFOs flying or what have you, at no point does it say recreation or
reconstruction
or anything like. There's no sign of that, and it is spliced right in with genuine footage. And that bothers me. That bothers me greatly. I don't like misleading people. Like I say on this show, I will say, "Oh yeah, that really happened," but we're debating. That's a different thing.
But when you say genuine footage, it's not. This is footage of the thing that we're actually talking about. It'll just show some footage of some military jets flying.
Yes.
When we're talking about the Air Force race to intercept. Oh, here's some footage of some jets,
and then it'll cut to a shot of a black triangle style UFO, and then back to the jets, and it looks like it's sort of taken from the same thing. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the individual episodes, or at least as much as we can. So each of these episodes run to between 41 and 44 minutes each in length. You've got that benefit with streaming services, of course, haven't you? You don't have to stick to this. It's got to be perfectly this length to the millisecond because of adverts and timings and
there is that. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a thing, but they have stuck to around about the 41 to 44 minute time frame. First episode, I think, as you mentioned, is about Project Blue Book. and again, there was a lot of speculation being stated as fact in that, but it didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, that I wasn't already aware of. How about yourself, Neil?
No, because we have covered it in depth, referred to it over several episodes of Aliens Explored. But I can imagine to a casual viewer who's just come to this for the first time, never heard of anything, never heard any of this before. Yes, they're probably not getting the best version of the story, but it will at least tell them what Project Blue Book is or was.
Do you know what? I never thought about that before. There's this subject as an introduction to the whole UFO thing. I never thought of it that way, because I always think, I suppose, without thinking about it, I just automatically go to the whole, well, everybody watching it is really into UFOs like I am. Not into UFOs, but you know what I mean.
No, I think they're going for I think that's partly the reason why it is like it is, that it will be teaching our listeners to suck eggs. They're not going to see anything they hadn't already heard about. There'll be no revelations for our listeners, but there'll be an awful lot of casual viewers who will think, "Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, is that really true? Was there a Project Blue Book? Was there a Project Aurora?"
That's all the more reason why they shouldn't be stating speculation as fact.
Well, that's all the more reason why they wouldn't they? Because then they can just present their argument unchallenged. It's almost like tabloid newspapers, who can quite often present opinion as reported fact, objective news reporting, and often their readers can't tell the difference.
It's immoral, Neil.
It's immoral, but we know tabloid newspapers will have an opinion on the front page.
Even then, even the worst of them will, at least, they'll not state things as absolute fact. They'll include words like allegedly and it is claimed to cover themselves. This show doesn't even do that. Anyway, second episode. Second episode is called The White House Cover-Up. I mean, how provocative can you get?
And that's what they're trying to do. They want to, keep their viewers hooked.
They have no shame. Anyway, that's talking about MJ12 or Majestic 12 or however you want to phrase it. And at least in the description they say, did the US government launch a secret organization to cover up the truth about UFOs? At least, I suppose, the description's asking the question. The program just says, yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Which, yeah. Now, they may have done. I mean, even I'm going to say, they may have done. I would say there is a lot of evidence that points to it. Now, that evidence, some of it is circumstantial. Some of it does take a bit of a leap. I think in all likelihood, yes. But I'm not going to sit here and claim it as absolute fact like they do. Oh, yeah. Anyway, third one is one you've mentioned, codename Aurora. Talking about reverse engineering alien technologies. The fourth one, Hacked and Leaked. So this is internal leaks and external hacks reveal potentially major UFO intelligence held by governments. And a man claims to have performed multiple alien autopsies. I'm intrigued to find out more about the guy.
Yeah.
That's because I've not seen this one yet. Is it interesting, at least that one?
Was it interesting? They all have this. I found all the episodes kind of have this soporific effect on me that you're listening to these guys. Oh, did you really? Did you? Yes, I performed all these autopsies. I saw these alien creatures. I don't know. I think we should. Yeah, we should make a note of his name and have a little delve into his background.
We may well do.
What's he doing now? Where do all these alien bodies come from? Why do these advanced craft keep crashing?
Well, I mean, that's a question we've posed on this show before, and I think there's just so damn many of them.
But no one asked. No one asked the question. Actually, would it be possible to reverse engineer technology from that's possibly thousands of years advanced in our own? Suppose a B-1 stealth bomber went through some kind of loophole in the space-time continuum and crash landed in the 15th century in the middle of the Wars of the Roses. Do you think either side, the House of York or the House of Lancaster, would be able to reverse engineer that technology and actually use a stealth bomber against the opposing forces?
Are you suggesting that maybe we'd get a Lancaster bomber a bit early? I'm making a joke there.
Yeah,
anyway.
but yeah,
terrible joke, but a joke.
I've heard people like Professor Stephen Greer talking about how these civilizations are thousands, possibly millions of years more advanced than our own. Well, you're talking about, perhaps people living on a primitive island who have just sort of hunted and fished. They're just hunter-gatherers, fishers who one day jump in their war canoes and go paddling out and capture a nuclear submarine. It's that sort of disparity between the two levels of technology.
Well, you drip feed it, don't you? I mean, it's not an overnight suddenly we can recreate everything. You'll look at one particular aspect of it. If it's a submarine, maybe that is crikey, how you would make steel. So they might look at steel and like maybe try and recreate it, maybe redesign it, maybe melt it down, try and get it into its component substances to try and find out what substances actually make it up in the first place. So they can, and then maybe, over a couple of decades of really hard work, maybe they can create steel where they couldn't before. And when you look at the amount of advancements that have happened to us in the last 50 years, they are phenomenal. We have evolved, technologically speaking, more than we have in the last 500 years. In the last 50. Yes, we have.
Have we? I mean, when I think about it, I think, well, all the things, for instance, my iPhone, all the things it's got on it, it's not really a phone. It's a pocket-sized computer. I hardly ever use it as a telephone, but it's used to send emails. I surf the internet. I use it as a navigator. I use it to learn languages. I use it for all kinds of things. But those were all things that I was able to do as a school kid 50 years ago. Yeah, I could make a phone call, but I had to go into a phone booth. Yeah, I could send a message, but I had to go to the post office. Yeah, I had portable music, but I had to carry around a cassette player and cassette. So it's not anything that I never had before. It's just a vast improvement on it. When I compare that with, say, my grandparents or my great-grandparents who were born into a world where heavier than air flight wasn't a thing. People had only ever flown in balloons up until then. That recorded music wasn't a thing. If you liked a song, if you went to the music hall and heard a song you liked, well, you had to go and buy the sheet music and learn how to play it yourself because it wasn't a thing. There weren't any films or TV or anything like that. So they genuinely saw lots and lots of new things coming up that, whereas all I've seen are improvements to things I already had.
Well, but those improvements are led by the digital revolution. So for what you're talking about, you've got like celluloid film as a perfect example of this. That is a mechanical process.
Yeah.
It's a mechanical and chemical process. Through to now storing and even creating movies completely digitally on these little tiny silicon chips. There is no mechanical property really whatsoever to them now.
Yeah, I mean, the technology behind it obviously is revolutionary, but what's actually being delivered isn't. It's an improvement.
That's just how the technology is used. It's the technology that is evolving.
Yeah, and I remember a quote from the 1980s, and I think it was when one of the new satellite TV channels, was it Sky B or something, or British. before it merged into B Sky B. And what someone said was, you can't sell a technology. You can't market a technology to people. People got satellite TV. They bought their satellites, or they got cable TV because of what they offered in terms of content. Mainly sports in Sky. People bought it for that. They didn't care about the technology, and that's where their rivals, Sky's rivals, failed, because they were just saying, "Look, we've got this amazing technology." And people said, "I don't care. What's on it? Oh, nothing. I want to watch. I won't buy it."
I'll go back a little bit further to Betamax versus VHS.
Yeah,
Betamax was by far the superior format,
but it was more expensive,
and they didn't have the big blockbuster films that Sony had with VHS.
And they didn't. Another. Do you remember? Shortly after that was Laserdiscs.
Yes,
a forerunner of
Laserdiscs.
Did it? So you got like a 12-inch, like an LP sized disc.
Exactly.
You put in a special. Very expensive.
But even
very high quality movies, but very, very expensive.
But even that's a mechanical process, because you have literal ridges, very much the way an LP works, that a laser is reading rather than a needle. But now, like I say, we've moved ahead of that. We're heading to quantum computers, where they are literally building computers one a molecule at a time. That is, look at where we were. Look at that compared to tubes. You remember the old glass tubes?
Yeah.
And
but,
valves and tubes.
There are some things that haven't changed. I still iron my clothes with the same technology. When I go out in the rain, I still have an umbrella that someone from the 19th century would recognise. It still turns inside out when a gust of wind blows. It's a lot of things haven't moved. Someone once said that actually the washing machine has made more difference to people's lives than the internet. Globally.
I think I might debate that one. But anyway, let's maybe our listeners can let us know whether they think a washing machine or the internet has a bigger impact on their lives. I think I know the answer. But write to us. Let us know what you think. You can write to us. And let us know. Do you know, we haven't done our summary. I'm jumping ahead of myself here because we've gone a little bit further on than we normally do. So we've got, as far as the 4th episode, Hacked and Leaked. There's also one about Soviet secrets, which I'm guessing is the same as the White House one, but for Russia.
It covers Soviet, China, and Brazil. Because they speculate that Brazil will be the country most likely to reveal the information they have.
Okay, and the final episode is called After Disclosure, so that's purely a speculative, what if aliens landed and they made themselves known to us, I'm guessing from that. So Neil, Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified, is it one you'd recommend our listeners watch?
Not particularly. I say have a look if you fancy it. If you got 45 minutes to spare and you don't fancy staying up to watch a full length feature movie, you might as well look at that. I mean, we know you're interested in Aliens Explored. You at least get to see what Nick Pope looks like and what he sounds like. To see the enemies, but it will be familiar ground for our listeners.
I'm going to say, yes, watch it, and then write to the producers and tell them how appalling they are. That's what I think you should do. But no, have a look at it for yourselves, listeners. Let us know what you think about it. As I say, you can let us know via the usual means. You can email us. We are aliensexplored@gmail.com. You can contact us through Facebook. You can contact us through Twitter. If you join our Patreon program at any tier, you get access to our Discord. Our private patron-only Discord, and you can chat to us through there as well. So do look out for that one. We do want to hear what you think about it. I am going to finish it off. I'm going to watch the final 3 episodes.
Good for you. I'll watch
sit
the
there
last
in a
one.
Quiet rage.
I hadn't realised quite how far I'd got through it. So I've only got one to go. Yeah, I'll stick it out.
Yeah. So we may reference it again in a future episode. You never know. But I think there are definitely better documentaries out there. There's worse as well, but never mind. We'll maybe talk about those on another time. Anyway, join us next time when we will be looking at the mysterious message that perhaps had something to do with non-human entities associated with the disappearance of flight MH370.
That's Mike Hotel 370.
Yes.
So those of a military bent out there.
Yes.
And for clarity,
Mike Hotel 370 indeed disappeared back in 2014. So join us for that. In the meantime, keep watching those documentaries, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and of course, keep watching those skills.
And keep in touch.
And take care for now.
Bye bye. Aliens Explored is a Fecal Films production in association with Juicy Falls. Music by Darren Mafucci and editing by Stu Jackson. Find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Aliens Explored or visit us on aliensexplored.com.